Hello, my name is Doug Hubble and welcome to Planetary Imaging and Processing Part 5. Today we continue Houston Haynes' solar processing tutorial with solar prominences. Solar prominences are much like flames leaping off a campfire, but on a much larger scale. Don't forget to subscribe to Houston's channel. Let's go ahead and move it right over to Houston.
Hey everybody, before I begin the second part of the tutorial, we're going to be doing prominence processing and then combining the surface detail and the prominence layer to create a full disk and get a nice image with a lot of depth. But I wanted to show you the equipment that I use, and the information or the videos that you downloaded from the links in the description came off of this telescope here, and this is an 80mm pressure tuned Lunt hydrogen alpha telescope, single stacked. You can double stack these. You can actually get another etalon here, internally double stacking it. And I have the feather touch focuser, which is really nice for imaging. But I just wanted to show you this because even if you're using a smaller aperture telescope like the Coronado PST or maybe even the Lunt 35, the LS35, you can still get really good images. So don't be discouraged if you download my data and it's like, well, I can't even get data that looks that good. Well, even with the Coronado PST, you can get really good stuff, and I would suggest checking out my channel. I've organized my playlist from tutorials to the Lunt and the Coronado PST. So if you want to see the potential that the PST can give you with using a decent camera like this, so this is the DMK41. And it's a nice camera, but you know, you don't have to get the 41. This is the larger chip size. The 51 is the largest I think that Imaging Source makes now, the DMK51. It's around $1,000 retail, and I think it's a 1/2 inch diagonal. I think. But the 41 with the Coronado PST will give you a full disk image, but you're only getting 15 frames per second. So sometimes I wish I had a better frame rate, especially when you start doing time-lapse animations. It's nice to gather a bunch of frames really quickly. But yeah, I just wanted to show you the equipment I'm using. So that's the camera. Sometimes I use the PowerMate, and this is my blocking filter. I actually just got this. I was using a 12mm diagonal, and now I got the straight through. That's my extension tube. That's just a little cap. I'll unscrew that little cap, and I'll just stick the extension tube straight into the focuser. And it really does improve image quality when you can, you know, get rid of any reflections, like using a diagonal on the back. So anyway, yeah, it's a great telescope, but I started with the PST and worked my way up to before I pulled the trigger and got this bad boy. But yeah, just wanted to show you the equipment I'm using, and although the techniques that I'm using might be suited best for my telescope and the camera that I'm using, still try them out. It's pretty general. Like the stuff I'm doing, like the sharpening techniques, they're pretty general, and they work for a wide variety of telescope and camera combinations. So just mess around with it. You know, your processing is going to get better with trial and error and time, and I'm still learning a lot too. So I'm excited to actually continue updating some videos and different processing techniques using different software, etc. And especially, you know, there's almost 1,000 different ways we can process the sun to make it look however you want aesthetically. But yeah, I just figured I'd show you the equipment. It's a great little setup, and I'm not outside right now, of course, but the mount that I use is a Lost Mandy GM8. A great little mount. That GM8 can support about 30 pounds. And you know, the Lost Mandy, when it says 30 pounds, it means 30 pounds. You could put 30 pounds on it and still do decent astrophotography. You know, like some of those Chinese mounts, they'll say 30 pound, you know, capacity, but anything over 20 pounds, then you're going to start, you know, the imaging is not going to be as great. But this telescope weighs around 14 pounds, and then if you add the, you know, my extension tube, blocking filter, camera, maybe it's these two things combined are maybe just over a pound. So there's not a lot of strain or flex. Like when this fits all the way in here, it's pretty sturdy. It starts getting a little strained out when I add the PowerMate. But anyway, just wanted to show you that, and so that's the data that you're going to be downloading is from this kind of equipment. But take a look at my my YouTube page and check out the Coronado PST playlist, and yeah, you'll see results from the Coronado PST that can rival an aperture, double the aperture, just like this. So yeah, take a look, and well, let's get to processing some prominence. All right, I'll see you over there. Alrighty, everybody, thanks for joining me again for this part 2 of the processing your prominence data, and then ultimately we're going to combine that prominence data with your surface detail and get an image that you see here on my desktop. You can see obviously the surface detail, but all those bright and faint prominences that you see hanging off the limb, those were captured using a higher exposure, of course. So we're just going to use Photoshop and use masking tools to blend these two images together. But before I begin, I want to apologize about the quality of my mic. I know it warbles a lot and goes in and out. I did get a new mic and it didn't work on my computer. I'm pretty illiterate about that kind of stuff, so I had to return it, and I've been too lazy to get a new mic. So I promise, though, the next time I do a video, I'll be using a better quality mic, and I'm really planning to start upping up some really detailed processing videos, because I'm still learning, but as I learn something, I want to share it with you guys. And I've actually changed a little bit of processing since the last video. For example, in this image you see here, I like this image because it feels like the sun is a sphere, and it feels like it has depth to it. And I think the one of the number one aspects to creating depth when you're looking at a sphere is, of course, limb darkening. That's a natural effect. When you look at a sphere, the limbs are going to be a little darker than the center. So we want the center to glow more than slightly fade to the edges. That last video I did on my processing, I kind of flattened it out like a pancake, but that's okay because we can still control limb darkening even if we flatten it out. And if you did watch that last tutorial, the soft light filter really does brighten up the limb quite a bit, which can be a bad thing, but we still want to use the soft light filter because it does bring out more detail and makes the more contrast. It makes the filaments look more bold on the disc. But we can use levels later on, and not levels. We can use curves later on to actually kind of darken up the limb, so it feels like a sphere. So that's aesthetically where I want to go with my imaging. Is I want to make sure when you look at the sun, you want to make it look 3D without having to do inverting effects or something like that. So I like this image that you see in the background, and it's kind of noisy around the glow, but I just didn't really spend too much time on that. So anyway, I just wanted to apologize for the mic quality, and let's get to processing. But before I do, I wanted to follow up on that video where you saw my equipment. I want to show you one of my favorite Coronado PST images that I took, and I'll open that up real quick here. Okay, so this is one of my favorite Coronado PST images I've ever taken, but it was double stacked. And if you get the double stacking etalon for the Coronado PST, it's almost the same price as the PST, if not more expensive. It costs a little bit of money, but you can also get images that look just like this without the double stack. The double stack just makes it look a lot more contrast. It has a lot more contrast. The filaments are really dark compared to some of the lighter patches. I wanted to show you this. Let me zoom in. Okay, so in my opinion, this is excellent detail for a 40mm aperture. Okay, this can rival some of my stuff with the 80mm lunt. The lunt, it's just that when you zoom in more, if I were to zoom in this much with the lunt, it would be a lot more resolved. All the plates and the filaments and this plasma is a lot more resolved. I can't really sharpen this image anymore without getting, pixelation, distortion, all kinds of nasty stuff. I'm pausing when I zoom in and out of Photoshop so my mic doesn't cut in and out. But anyway, I just wanted to show you this. So as good as this image is, let me show you this part right here. I love these features of the solar disk, these really tightly bound magnetic loops with the plasma flowing around them. They actually pop quite a bit, and they'll grow and everything. But the fact that I can resolve the individual loops, I was really happy with that, especially with the Coronado PST. But as you can see here, there's a huge dust spot right there, dust bunny, and you can actually see Newton ring patterns along the image. So this image was taken before I knew how to do flats. So if you don't know how to do flats, because this is actually a mosaic. This image is a 20 panel mosaic. So I was zoomed in using a power mate. So you could actually apply a flat to all these different panels, and you would get rid of these dust bunnies and Newton rings. So there's a downside of that, but holding that constant, this is a really good, I think, example of the resolution you can get with the Coronado PST. But do take note that it was with the 2.5x power mate, so I was almost at 1,000 millimeter focal length, if not more. Whatever 2.5 times 400 is, that's my focal length here that I'm using. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that. So the PST can offer some great results, along with the little LS35. And of course, once you start getting into the Solar Max 60, the LS60, you know, you're going to start getting a lot more resolution, of course. But I thought I would share that before I start. Alrighty, so let's get to it. On my folders here, you see my prominence and my surface data. And we already went to the surface data using S1 and S2. Now let's process P1 and P2 on the prominence data. I already have actually, but let's just delete these and start from scratch. And for the prominence stuff, let's just play the video so you can take a look at it. Let's do this one. Yeah, really cool, very cool looking prom right here. That little long one that's just like hanging off. Probably it's gonna be floating away soon. I like to use Regi stacks because it's just simple and quick. I just use a prominence as my like a line point. So I'll show you. Let's do Regi stacks, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's too simple, and I'm sure you actually probably already know how to do this. So where am I going here? I need to organize a little better. It's okay. Make sure you're on AVI, and let's select P1 to start. Let me zoom out here. I just used the full image, and so what I like to do in Regi stacks is at least move my slider halfway to the frame so I can kind of average out the tracking errors from beginning to end. So around the middle is good, and then find a good frame in the middle. And they all look around relatively the same. 128 for line box size, this looks fine. And I'll just focus on that prominence. Click align. I'll pause this and just come back once this is finished. Okay, so it's finished aligning, and now the limit option will be available. Let's click on limit, and then optimize and stack. And I'll pause this and get back to you once it's finished, so you don't have to watch it. But just to note also, before you click limit, it's always wise to look at the amount of frames you're going to be stacking. And as you can see, it's actually stacking every single one of my 330 frames, which might not be the best idea. What you can do is, before you click limit, grab the little slider that'll be down here in the right hand corner if it's maxed out, and then just pull it down. And maybe, you know, I think I could stack 150 frames out of these 330, and that would be just fine. So yeah, it's kind of like up to you. You know, think about how many frames you want to stack. You know, kind of slide through them and look at the quality. But I'm gonna go ahead and just stack all these, and I'll get back to you once this is finished. Okay, so it's finished stacking and aligning, and we're back to our familiar wavelet page. And I don't use wavelets on the prominences. I'm just going to click do all so I can save it. Save image, and sure, I'll save it as P1 under prominence data. Now let me just open up the other one real quick and run through this again. I like to take it about halfway And let's find a good frame. It looks good. Let's do this big bulky one. Align. And I will get back to you again once this is finished. Okay, so that's finished. And this one I detected some frames that weren't as good as the other one. So as you can see down here on stack size, it says 264 out of 311. And that's the position in which my slider is in. So that's how many frames we're going to stack if we click limit and then optimize and stack. So you can always grab your slider and move it around. But I'm going to go ahead and just trust Registacks, and I'm going to go ahead and stack 264. It'll be just fine. That's plenty of frames. Limit, optimize, and stack. And I'll get back to you once this is finished. Alrighty, that's finished. And same thing, do all. And I'm just going to save the image. So you can see I'm not really getting too advanced here with the prominence processing, the stacking and aligning. Keeping it very simple. So now we have in our prominence folder, we have our processed TIFF images. So let's go ahead and go into Photoshop. And unfortunately, it's kind of ridiculous because with my camera size and the focal length of the telescope I'm using, I can't quite get a full disk image in. So I have to do these crazy, silly 2-panel mosaics. And what's frustrating is I can get a lot of space around here on the top, but not along the edges. Now I could move the camera over and maybe do a 4-panel mosaic or a 6-panel mosaic to get more blank space around the solar disk, because that always helps. But fuck it, who cares? I'm just trying to get the solar detail, and I'm not going to go into Photoshop that much to be able to talk about 3rd or 4 layers masking and creating a separate background layers. No, all I'm going to be doing is the prominence layer and the surface layer, and that's it. So if you want to get more advanced, because it would be nice to put more blank space around the solar disk to make it look, for just better cropping and for printouts and stuff. But I'm not going to be going through that. But if you know how to use Photoshop really well, see, the problem is I know I'm talking a lot, but the problem is this is high exposure, right? I'm actually going to be cranking up levels and shadows and highlights, so to give me a natural glow around this, because there is data in this glow. Because my gamma is cranked up quite a bit on this image, up to like 120. So there is data that's in the blank canvas here. I just can't see it yet. So once I start cranking that data up, it's going to create glow and noise. So it'll look awkward because there'll be plenty of space up here, but not enough space on the side. So apologize for that, but that's what we're going to be doing. All right, so let's go into Photoshop. And this is a pain in the butt. If you don't have enough interlapping data on the prominence, you can't do photo merge. You can't automatically align and blend these images in photo merge. So usually I just have to open them up separately. You can try to blend these with the photo merge option, or even load files into a stack. It won't work because the overlap here, as you can see, here's the one image, here's the other. See that there's not a lot of. If they shared a common prominence, Photoshop might then be able to align and blend them, but I find that it has problems. So I'm going to use a really, really janky way of doing this. All I'm going to do is select one of these images and increase the canvas size vertically to the same height as the actual image size. Okay, now I'm just going to grab my other image here, Control A, Control C, Control V, and just paste it on there. So now I'm working with 2 layers. Grab my little mover tool here, and so what I do is I just roughly find the nice alignment. When these edges align, I can use control arrows. Okay, that looks okay, but still a lot of issues there. So you can change your opacity. And let's zoom in here. Let's see here. Is there a common? Sometimes. Yeah, there's a common prominence, so you can line those prominences up. And that looks pretty good right there. Let's go back here. You can see though, that side is not like that. Go over a little more. See here. I think that looks about right. do is, it's kind of tricky, and when you blend these two high exposure layers, you can get a lot of differentiation between the two. So what I like to do is, let's see here, which one is, let's use this one. Okay, hold on now, let's take off the top one. Oh yeah, let's erase some of that top layer. So I take my eraser tool, you can see that edge right there, and just delete it until it kind of matches up. And there you go, see a little better? There we go, much better. Let's check out this end. This end doesn't look so bad. Actually, it's matching up pretty well. Yeah, it's good enough. So, let's see here. Actually, does that look good? Yeah, I think that looks good. Might have some issues up there. Let's see. I'm gonna erase some of this over here. No, I actually should have erased, I think, the top layer, not the bottom. Yeah, let me undo all that. Let's grab the bottom layer and get rid of some of that. Oh, that's not what we wanted. There we go, bottom layer. Okay, what's going on here? Oh, there we go, that's why. Yeah, that's good right there. It's fine. Yeah, this is not the greatest method, but it'll work. So let's just flatten it out. We can tweak it out later. We're going to be using a layer mask, and a layer mask is going to allow us to refine. There's a tool called Refine Mask. It's really good. So I'm just going to crop this area out. So there we go. Now this is going to be my bottom layer. So now what I want to do is, exit out of this. Let's open up our surface detail image now. So let's get our folder. Oh, here's my full disk image. This is the one that we processed last time. So just open that up. Here's my full disk image. Oh, and to note, I think this is unprocessed. So last time we processed this image using soft light filter, noise median filter. I'm going to not add that image in there. I'm going to start it. This is just basically the full disk image that came out of Registax after we did some wavelets. So if you have the original, get it. If not, you can use the processed one that we did. It's all the same. What I'm going to do is Control A, Control C. Okay, then Control V, paste it on there. And a good way to line these two images up is just change your blending mode to difference. Here we go. Grab your mover tool, and let's grab our surface layer and squeak it in there. Just kind of rough eyeball it. Looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And since we're doing difference, and then we're doing difference onto a white background, the prominence background, it's pretty much the same thing as inverting this top layer. So this actually looks pretty cool. What you could do is just crop out some of this area, flatten it out, and then just process this image as it is. And I think it looks really cool, but it's inverted so it's false. So what we want to do is let's go back and change our blending mode to normal. Because all we really wanted to do was use that difference mode to align the images. Okay, let me pause it here. I'll get back to you real quick, and we'll start doing the layer mask. Okay, so to add layer mask now, let's. There's several ways you can do this. You can just use the little marching ants tool here, or whatever you want to call it, and fill in the sun here. It could cause problems sometimes. It actually looks pretty good. I'm going to press Control D to exit out of that. Or you can use the color range. Select color range, select on a dark area, and then just adjust your fuzziness so it's only the sun. You know, it's not like that. It's not like that. It's nice and black and filled in. That looks good. Okay, and then it's selected all that, but we want to select the inside area. We want to select just the sun. So invert your selection. So select and then inverse. Now let's save the selection as a channel. Save selection, whatever. Just type in something. Channel A, that works for me. Go over to channels. Click on your channel you just made, and there's a lot of bad stuff here we don't want. We have this. Let me grab my black. Let me grab my paint tool. There's some white lines that are associated with the cropping from the high exposure layer. Let's get rid of these. And these little faint prominences that came along with it, we don't want that because we just want the surface detail. The prominences we already have in a separate layer. So you can get rid of those by doing a noise median filter. Noise median. Yeah, and there you go. But the more you do with the filter, it's going to pull in the sun, which can cause some problems. We don't want to pull it and suck it in too much because then we're going to have a nice bright line. It's going to look just fake. That looks pretty good right there. Press OK. Now just press Control A, Control C to copy this entire image. Go back to your layers. Click on your top surface layer. Now down here, you'll see a little tool with a black box and a box with a circle in it. It looks like a camera. And it should say Add Layer Mask. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there it goes. Add Layer Mask. Click on that. Now we've added a layer mask to our top layer. Click inside the top layer. Then click Alt-click. That'll bring up what's inside the layer mask. And then just paste that channel, Control V. Okay? So now click back on your top layer. And there we go. So now we have a separate layer here, masked with that background layer, and I'll get back to you in a second. We'll do some more critical adjustments. Alright, so we got our surface image up there, and now what I'd like to do is let's just move it around and align it even better, and something like that. And there's several ways we can start to do this. If you notice, they're not matching up perfectly. I'm getting a lot of like that white line. That's the bright prominence layer. You could do several things. You could well, man, how do I start this? Let me just run through. Actually, let's first process the surface image using the same techniques we used last week or whatever, 2 weeks ago. I'm going to do filter, sharpen, more sharpen, 275.1, more accurate, okay. Filter, sharpen, let's do unsharp mask. Let's do 25%, and a radius of 2 pixels, okay. And I'm not going to apply the soft light filter. Yeah, I'm not going to apply the soft light filter or the noise median filter. I think those tools were really good to use if we're only doing prominence surface data. But for this one, I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to leave it as is and just do sharpening mostly. You'll see what I mean, because we're going to be able to control the gradients more and the limb darkening without applying those flattening techniques. And this image doesn't need a flat, and it doesn't need, I don't think, soft light. So let me zoom in. I'll show you how detailed it is. Yeah, it could be better. It could be better, but that's right. We'll use some contrasting effects here. So let's try this. Let's grab our prominence layer and go to filter, lens correction. And we're just going to shrink the prominence layer so we don't get that glow around the disc. Click on custom. And then down here where it says angle and scale and percentage, do 99%. And a 1% shrinkage should be good enough. Click OK. Yeah, there we go. So now the prominence have shrunk into the disc a little more, so we don't get that glow. But there's still some issues along the edges, the transition from the prominence to the surface layer. So this is where we're going to use our layer mask. Click on your layer mask and then right click on it. Find mask. And these two tools are really, this tool is really helpful, the shift edge and the feathering. Watch what happens when I feather. I bump up the feather. See that? Now let's try to shift my edge up. So it's shifting it out. Now if you shift it out and feather up, you can see what's happening there. So we don't want that. Let's try shifting my edge down. Feather that. Yeah, it's a little too prominent. That's pretty good. We just want a smooth transition. I'm really not too picky about this part. Yeah, I mean, that's good. I mean, it's not perfect up by that prominence. And the, let's see here. Maybe let's bump up our contrast. Made it a little better, not too much. Let's reduce that feathering. Actually, no, I want to keep, I like that right there, I think. Or maybe that right there. Is that what we want? No, not that. Right there. That's good. That's cool. I mean, that'll work. Well, now I see a more defined edge. I don't like that. Let me bump up the edge a little more. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's fine. So, these settings are going to be very depending on your image and what's going on here, but this looks like it's working just fine. So I'm going to click OK. And what I like to do is let's go ahead and sharpen up the prominence layer. See what kind of effect we can get. Okay, for the prominence sharpening, unsharp mask is just fine. You can use smart sharpen, but keep it simple. Use the unsharp mask. And click on one of your prominence images here so it pops up. Here, I'll zoom in actually on both sections. Okay. I go ahead, like to just crank up my amount. Take your radius down, and let's start bumping up the radius. Let's do 1 to start with at 500%. Click OK. Let's take a look at this one over here. Yeah, very cool. Okay, now let's do it again. No, actually this time, go back to Filter. Click on Blur, Gaussian, and let's just blur it a little bit. So our next sharpening won't be, let's blur it to around 0.6, sure. Now back to Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp Mask, that's too much. Let's do 0.6, that looks good. Not perfect, but it'll work. A little more defined now. Okay, so now we got those basics done. Now, let's click on our main layer here, the surface layer. And let's darken it using, here, let's check out our levels real quick. Let's go ahead and brighten it up, pull it to the edge maybe. Right there. And now, let's do, you know what? Let's go ahead and add color so we can see it, because I want to add color. Let's go Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Levels. Okay. Let's do, this is one of my new favorite basic coloring schemes. 1.6 on red. Green. 0.6. And then blue, I start with 0.2. But I end up usually bumping it down to around either 1.1. Let's do 0.1. Let's do 0.15. That looks fine. Go back to your layer. Now, as you can see, the color is being applied to every single layer below it. I only want to apply it to the surface layer. So all you got to do is click on your top layer here, the levels layer. Click Alt. And then if you move the mouse in between these two layers, you'll see that little icon pop up. Click that. Now it's only applying it to the prominence layer. So that's good to work with. And then for the bottom layer, I'll just do the same thing. But I just want to be able to control them. A layer, new adjustment layer. I just want to be able to control them separately. Levels. Same thing. Let's do 1.6 for red. Let's do 0.6 for green. And then blue. We can do 0.2. And of course, this is where you can get very creative. I'll do the same exact 0.15. Okay. Now we've added color, but it's not quite. It looks pretty good actually. I like that. Subtle detail is kind of what you want to go for, I think. Look at that. That's awesome. That's really cool. I think that's so awesome. Look at that active region, that plage. But I think I want more contrast. So let's go Control M for Mike. And I found just a simple, darkening technique by grabbing the center and just plugging it down. And as you can see, we're starting to get a lot more limb darkening as well. Okay, so yeah, sorry about that. Recording just cut out, but so I'm just in curves and just pulled it down enough to want to darken it up, and I also want to get that kind of limb darkening effect. That looks good. But I still want a little more contrast. Watch this. Let's bring up levels a little bit. Let's actually maybe just no. Let's just no levels. Let's do this. Let's do image adjustment, brightness, and contrast. Let's bump up the contrast, and there you go. See now that this is giving us more contrast while giving us some limb darkening. That's good, around 30. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm liking that a lot more. My limb looks a little sharp though around the edges. That's that refined mask. I wish that was a little more blurry. What we can do is let's test out our background layer, our prom layer. Click on the prom layer, and let's just try a linear stretch. A little too much. I do want to brighten them up a little bit. Something like that looks kind of cool. If you can tell, I'm just kind of going with it right now. I don't have a standard way of processing. I just kind of choose what looks really cool. I kind of like that. And what we can also do is adjust our, contrast on the prominence layer and reduce some of that glow. That looks good. We could also adjust shadows and highlights. Just check it out. See what happens. Yeah, see, that's gonna get a little crazy. I could use some more work on my refined mask tool. Let's work on our refined mask tool here. I don't like that top edge. Why don't we try, see what happens when we feather? No, not that way. Let's make it, I think, there we go. That's, yeah, I want there to be a connection between the prom layer and this disc, but I don't want, maybe something like that. I don't really know, you tell me. That looks alright. Screw it. Looks cool. Man, I don't know. You could leave it like this. It looks pretty cool. So I'm probably confusing the crap out of you because we did a totally different processing method last time on the sun. This time I didn't even apply a high pass filter, nor did I apply a noise median filter. But I still wanted to show you those techniques because they work good, especially with the Coronado PST and smaller aperture. You know what I want to do is I want to image rotation 90 degrees clockwise, and then let's image rotation. This is an older image and I know exactly, I think the orientation is viewed from Earth. Whoops, nope, Control Alt Z, image rotation. What the hell am I doing? Image rotation vertical. Yeah, I like that. There we go. There's our image. What we need to do is let's just crop some of this area out. The cropping could always be better. I don't really take too much time on making a nice canvas. But you get the idea. Where can I go from here? You could just try writing things up. Changing color schemes, of course. I'll leave it as is. I think I'm just going to leave it like that. always crank up your background. You know, you could do, okay, just to demonstrate, you can crank it up, make it look pretty cool like that. If that's too much glow for you, then just grab levels again and grab your shadows and pull that down, something like that. Or you could always do curves. Bring that down like that, maybe. Yeah, something like that. So we have a natural, nice kind of hazy glow around the disc just because of this prominence layer. We're not using a third layer, you know, to have a separate background layer. So combining these two exposures is really nice because it gives you depth. You want to maintain some kind of limb darkening so it looks like a sphere. And you want the prominence, you know, layer to be bright enough but not too bright. I'm actually going to diminish some of this glow. You know, it's nice to have it fade into black. Something like that. You know, you want to fade into black. But yeah, this is pretty... most of my methods are pretty crude, but, you know, it works pretty good. And check it out. What else did I want to show you? Man, I think that's it, really. There's a ton of methods to use. I like this one. Loads of detail, and not just loads of detail, loads of subtle detail. My prominence processing could be better, but hey, it's for effect. It looks fine, and that region is really cool right there. So I know there's something else I wanted to show you. I can't remember. I'm going to flatten this out and save this as a JPEG and share it with everybody. There's, you know, your solar image. Yeah, nice subtle color, subtle detail. Man, I know there's something else I wanted to show you, but I can't quite remember right now. That was a little fast paced, I'm sorry, but yeah, that's just how I kind of run through it. And I always change my techniques, you know. I always, you know, do try different things, but these are some basics. So I hope that helps. Please leave any comments and check out my channel. If you haven't Coronado PST, I have a lot of videos of with the Coronado PST, so yeah, check that out. And if you like the Lunar 80mm too, I got some videos of that one. So, alrighty guys, take it easy. I'm out of here.
If this is your first time watching, I'd like you to subscribe to my channel. I process 2 videos each month on the 1st and 15th. In part 6, we're going to cover processing the lunar surface. You can download the lunar data below. I also wanted to extend a special thanks to Houston Haynes for leading our solar processing tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon.